Dear students, so far you have learnt about mulberry cultivation. Now you all know that by using mulberry leaves only, silkworms are reared. For large scale multiplication of silkworm, a scientific rearing house and rearing method should be adapted. The program of silkworm rearing in a farm is determined by considerations such as conditions of mulberry growth, availability of labor for rearing silkworms, and the facilities for rearing silkworms, that is, suitable buildings and equipment. In this session, let us all know about silkworm rearing house first in detail. A model rearing house should be a rat-proof building with a ledge all around to prevent rats from entering the building. The building should have a veranda all around and glass windows and doors to provide good ventilation and light. The ceiling of rearing house is generally made of wood. If made of concrete or tiles, a false ceiling must be constructed. Ventilators must be installed to ensure free circulation of air. The rearing house is partitioned into 4 convenient rooms, in one of which, by maintaining high temperature and humidity, the young age silkworms are reared. In temperate and subtropical regions, they should be constructed in a north-south direction so that maximum sunlight and heat is available to warm up the rearing rooms adequately. In tropical regions, however, the building should be sited east-west so that too hot direct sunlight is avoided and cooler room temperatures maintained. In some rearing houses, roof and side walls are made of plastic sheets or tarpaulins which prevent direct draught or cold air from outside entering the sheds. This type of shed is usually used for shoot rearing or floor rearing. In many places, there are no separate rearing houses as such, but rearing is done in the dwelling houses themselves. In Jammu and Kashmir, where mostly floor rearing is practiced, rearing is done in the rearer's own houses. Area required for 1 acre of mulberry in case of chalky rearing house is 150 square feet, and in case of late age worm rearing is 1000 square feet. Let me explain some prominent features of this rearing house. These include a separate house is ideal for rearing of silkworm, and the rearing house should have sufficient number of windows to permit cross ventilation. Provision should be made to make it airtight for proper disinfection. Rearing house has to be built in such a way to provide optimum temperature of 26 to 28 degrees centigrade and relative humidity of 60 to 70% for the growth of silkworm at minimal operational cost. The most important principles to be remembered in silkworm rearing house are: avoid damp condition, stagnation of air, direct and strong drift of air, exposure to bright sunlight and radiation. Ensure equable temperature and humidity and good ventilation. Rearing house should be built depending on the brushing capacity and the method of rearing. The rearing area of 2 square feet per DFL or disease free laying for floor rearing and 3 square feet per DFL for shoot rearing is the general criteria. Rearing house should have a main rearing hall, an ante room of 8 by 8 feet and leaf preservation room. Maintaining a separate chalky room. It is a must for 2-plot rearing system. Rearing room of size 10 by 14 feet with a height of 9 to 10 feet for an acre of garden is ideal. Rearing house should face east-west direction. Rearing house should have facilities to maintain the required environmental conditions. Growing trees around the rearing house helps to maintain favorable environment. Rearing house should be constructed taking consideration the following points such as effective disinfection, washable floor, etc. 480 square feet area is required for rearing 100 DFLs. Let us know a bit about process of preparation of a rearing house. Rearing room is to be kept ready after disinfection at least 3 to 4 days in advance of commencement of rearing. Precondition of rearing house is essential, that is, arrangement of rearing appliances and provision of essential environmental conditions 1 day in advance. The rooms should be kept closed for about 24 hours after disinfection. The doors and windows should be kept open at least for 24 hours before commencement of rearing to avoid traces of disinfectants. Rearing appliances can be classified as either recurring or non-recurring. Some prominent non-recurring rearing equipments are disinfection mask and protective gum ashes, spray for disinfection, room heater, water air cooler, kerosene blow lamp, wet and dry thermometer, 6 inches forceps, and non-recurring items include egg transportation box, egg incubation chamber, loose egg incubation frame, black box, chalky rearing trays, rearing bottom stand, feeding stand, ant wells, leaf chopping board, leaf chopping knife, leaf mat, bed cleaning nets, litter basket, late age rearing trays, rearing stand, shoot rearing rack, chandriki, plastic basin, buckets, mug, plastic box, foam pads, food trucks, leaf chamber for late age worms, leaf basket, cleaning nets. And some of the recurring equipments include paraffin paper, formalin, bleaching powder, lime powder, bed disinfectants, slides and cover slips, gunny cloth and cora cloth. Now, let us know about hygiene in silkworm rearing. The silkworms must be reared with utmost care since they are very susceptible to diseases. Bacteria, viruses, fungi and protozoa attack the silkworms readily, and any disease, once it breaks out, spreads quickly. To prevent disease, good sanitation methods and hygienic rearing technique must be meticulously followed. The rearing room and appliances used for rearing must be thoroughly cleaned. Dust, dirt and refuse of dead larvae found in the rearing house and on the rearing appliances should be removed, and the house and the appliances thoroughly washed with water and dried. So far we have seen about rearing house. Now we will see how to rear silkworm. The first important step is egg transportation. Silkworm eggs are to be handled with care during transportation. Eggs should not be exposed to various adverse climatic conditions, toxic chemicals emanated from chilies, tobacco and detergents. Eggs should be transported in a bag made of rigid plastic mesh lined inside with thin foam pad supported by a rigid metal frame. Egg carrying box is made of cardboard with thermocol lining. Each bag or box accommodates about 300 DFLs. Then the next step is egg incubation. The ideal temperature for egg incubation is 25 degrees centigrade and RH is 80%. The devices used are chalky tray with paraffin paper, egg incubation chamber, double walled chamber. The egg sheets should be spread out as a single layer in a chalky tray over wax paper surrounded by wet foam pads. Loose eggs are transported in a loose egg carrying box and incubated in loose egg incubation frame. Do you know about black boxing? Light has profound effect on silkworm egg hatching. Providing total darkness for 2 days before egg hatching is called black boxing. This helps in uniform hatching in a single day. During black boxing, those embryos in advanced stage of development will wait for light to hatch, and the developing embryos will continue their development. And when exposed to light, all the eggs will hatch uniformly. It helps in synchronized brushing. Simple black sheet of paper, that is thick craft paper or cover which gives total darkness, can be used. Eggs at pinhead or head pigmentation stage are wrapped in a tissue paper and transferred to black boxes. Such black boxes are placed under required humidity and temperature conditions. The eggs are to be exposed to light between 7 and 8 am on the expected day, that is 10th or 11th day, to enable maximum hatching. Okay, now you are going to learn about silkworm rearing process. Silkworm rearing is extensive month-long exercise starting from egg stage to terminating in adults laying eggs and dying their natural death. During this course, they pass through 5 larval instars intervened by 4 molts, cocoon and pupal stage. Silkworm rearing effectively means the culturing of 5 larval instars, as other stages like egg, pupa and adults are non-feeding stages. Whole life cycle spans through 45 to 55 days with 10 to 12 days of egg stage, 25 to 30 days of larval stage, 2 to 3 cocoon spinning days, 5 to 7 days as pupal duration and 4 to 5 days in adult stage. Prevailing environmental conditions, especially temperature and relative humidity conditions, are vital in determining silkworm physiology, as it is a cold-blooded organism. Hence, maintenance of recommended temperature, relative humidity, light and ventilation conditions for every stage of rearing are at most importance for successful silkworm rearing. Dark condition, room temperature and 65% relative humidity is required for incubation of silkworm eggs. 27 to 28 degrees centigrade and 80 to 85% relative humidity is required for first and second instar larvae, that is called chalky silkworm rearing, while 24 to 25 degrees centigrade and 60 to 65% relative humidity is required for third, fourth and fifth instar larvae, that is called late age silkworm rearing. During the intervening molting stage of 24 hours each between 2 instars, temperature of 25 to 26 degrees centigrade and relative humidity 60% is recommended for the smooth integument changeover. Room temperature and 65% relative humidity is required during spinning, cocoon preservation, moth emergence, coupling, decoupling processes. Dark conditions with room temperature and 70 to 80% relative humidity is required for oviposition process. A day in silkworm culture consists of various activities like harvesting of mulberry leaves, food preparation, feeding, bed cleaning, etc. Silkworms are fed 4 times in a day: morning by 9 to 10 am, afternoon 1 to 2 pm, evening 4 to 5 pm and night 9 to 10 pm. Leaves after harvesting from plantations are first washed with plain running water and then treated with mild KMNO4 for general disinfection. After adequate drying, they are fed to silkworms. During first and second instars, the silkworms are fed with chopped, tender and succulent mulberry leaves with high moisture content from apical portions of the plant. During third instar, 3 to 4 pieces of medium sized leaves are given to the silkworms. Later on, the entire leaf and the complete shoot is given during 4th and 5th instar after required treatment. Bed cleaning is an important process to ensure the hygiene in the immediate vicinity of silkworms in order to protect them from infection. 4 different mesh sized bed cleaning nets are used for cleaning the rearing beds. Bed cleaning is done once in first instar, twice in second instar and preferably daily in third, fourth and fifth instar. Bed cleaning nets are spread just before the morning feed. Before the afternoon feed, nets with the silkworms are shifted to new beds and feeding is then resumed. The litter, leftover food and dead silkworm, if any, are removed carefully and disposed of away from the rearing house. Now, let me explain the interesting feature of a silkworm, that is molting. Molting is a process when silkworms cease feeding, becomes immobile and prepare themselves for shedding their old skin to accommodate the fast growth. 4 molts takes place during the entire larval period. During this period, special care is required for the molting worms. Lime powder is dusted in the rearing bed to reduce the humidity to 60 to 65% relative humidity to facilitate the molting process. Molting period lasts for about 24 hours and care should be taken not to disturb silkworms during this period. During late 5th instar, After completing the feeding, silkworm reaches the ripened stage, that is ready to spin silk. Ripened silkworms are identified by their characteristics movement to the corners of the rearing trays, reduction in size by 1/3 and transparent yellow appearance. These ripened silkworms are transferred to the mountages. Mountages are the equipments to provide support for cocoon formation for spinning cocoons. Plastic collapsible mountage, bamboo brushing mountage and mountage made out of locally available materials, which include dried leaves and branches of different plants arranged in a zigzag manner in cardboard boxes. After 2 to 3 days of spinning, cocoons are harvested from the mountages. Cocoons can be used for either propagating the generation or extracting of silk fiber. For propagating generation, cocoons are left at the room temperature with 65 to 70% relative humidity for moths to emerge from cocoons after passing through intermediate pupal stage after 6 to 7 days. After emergence, males and females are coupled for 4 to 5 hours, then decoupled, and then the females are kept for oviposition process. Males can be used for second coupling after short time refrigeration at 5 degrees centigrade for 1 to 2 days. After this, the adult approaches their natural deaths in 1 to 2 days. The silkworm larvae hatched out of oviposited eggs in 10 to 12 days after completing embryonic growth. For extracting silk, the cocoons are subjected to stifling process in which the pupa inside the cocoons are killed by subjecting them to high temperature treatment via sun drying, steam or hot air in order to maintain the continuity of silk filament making up the cocoon. Then cocoon is boiled or cooked for 3 to 4 minutes at 95 to 96 degrees centigrade to make the sericin soft to dissolve up to 25 to 26%. Then silk filament can be extracted out easily on suitable reeling apparatus by finding the true end in brushing process in which the coarser floss layer is removed. Now, let you all know about late age silkworm rearing. The rearing of grown up silkworm, that is from 3rd instar up to spinning, is termed as late age rearing and is usually completed in 14 to 16 days. Silkworms attain significant growth during this stage, representing more than 94% of leaf consumption, 133 times increase in body size, 125 times increase in body weight and nearly 1000 times increase in silk gland weight. Late age worms are more sensitive to high temperature and humidity conditions besides diseases. Late age silkworms are reared commonly by adapting one of these methods. First is tray or shelf method of rearing, the second one is floor rearing and the third is shoot rearing. Let us know about each one of them in detail. First one is tray or shelf rearing. In this method, late age silkworms are reared in bamboo trays which are arranged one over the other in tiers on rearing stands. Generally, the rearing stands are arranged in 2 rows on either side of the rearing hall with adequate working space in the center for feeding and bed cleaning. Each rearing stand can accommodate 10 to 12 trays. Round bamboo trays of 1.2 to 1.4 meter diameter are most commonly used for rearing late age silkworms. Under this method of rearing, generally leaves picked individually from mulberry plantation are cut to convenient size and fed to the silkworms. Usually 4 feedings are given in a day. Nets are used for cleaning rearing beds. Since cleaning is practiced more frequently and also trays removed from the stand for every feeding, labor requirement is high in this method. However, this method has the advantage of accommodating more silkworms in a limited area than shoot feeding method, and it is preferred by the rearers, those who are having rearing space limitation. Second is floor rearing. This method is practiced only in Jammu and Kashmir. Third is shoot rearing. This method of rearing is most economical. By adapting shoot rearing, it is possible to reduce the labor requirements considerably. More and more sericulturists are switching over to shoot rearing as it is the most convenient and not as labor intensive as other systems. In this method of rearing, the rearing racks are usually of 5 feet width and 35 feet length. This can accommodate 20,000 larvae up to spinning. The shelves should be provided with 6 inches border to prevent the fall of larvae and for effective utilization of shelf area. Such shelves can be arranged in 3 to 4 tiers with a gap of about 30 inches in between. The rack can be constructed using wood, bamboo or mild steel. Using nylon mesh or fishing net supported by old newspapers, rearing sheet of the shelf is proposed. The cost of shoot feeding rack made of wood, eucalyptus poles, GI wire and nylon net to rear 150 DFLs is around Rs 30,000. Entire shoots are harvested from the mulberry garden and fed to the silkworms. Since the leaf supply due to shoot feeding is distributed in 3 directions, there is better aeration of the rearing beds and therefore, it is possible to keep more worms per unit area of rearing sheet as compared to shelf rearing. In this method, bed cleaning is also minimum and carried out once after 4th molt. Nets or ropes of convenient length are spread parallel to each other lengthwise on the rearing bed. Fresh branches of mulberry shoots are supplied for feeding. After 2 or 3 feeds, when all the worms have crawled on to the new branches, the bed held by the ropes or nets is rolled into loose bundles. The old branches and dirt are removed. Later, the bundles are spared and new rearing beds are ready. Do you know about shoot harvesting? Harvest the shoots at 1 meter height from ground level at 60 to 70 days after pruning. Store the shoots vertically upwards in dark, cooler rooms. Provide thin layer of water in one corner of storage room and place the cut off shoots in the water for moisture retention. Regarding feeding, provide a layer of newspaper in the rearing shelf, disinfect the bed, spread the shoot in perpendicular to width of the bed. Place top and bottom ends of the shoots alternatively to ensure equal mixing of different qualities of leaves. Transfer the third instar larvae to shoots immediately after molting. Watch for feeding rate from 4th day of 4th instar. If 90% of larvae have not settled for molting, provide 1 or 2 extra feedings. Provide 3 feedings during rainy or winter months and 4 feedings during summer rearing. Advantages of shoot feeding are better keeping quality of leaf storing and in the rearing bed. Handling of silkworm is minimized, hence contamination and spreading of diseases are reduced. Better hygienic conditions can be maintained. Bed cleaning is required only once, that is after 4th molt. Worms and leaves do not come in contact with the litter, hence chances of secondary contamination is minimized. Better aeration in the bed is ensured. Cocoon characters and ERR improves. Leaf saving up to 20%. Labor saving up to 70% when compared to leaf feeding method. Cost of production is reduced. These are the advantages. Some of the disadvantages of shoot feeding are: this method requires more rearing room floor area. Bed refusal will not be available as cattle feed. Planting materials, that is cuttings, are not available. Separate rearing house is necessary. To conclude, in this session we have discussed about the concept of silkworm rearing and process of silkworm rearing. We have also discussed about late age silkworm rearing. To summarize, the rearing houses should be located in such a manner as to maintain as far as possible ideal temperature and humidity conditions inside the rearing rooms. In temperate and subtropical regions, they should be constructed in a north-south direction so that maximum sunlight and heat is available to warm up the rearing rooms adequately. In tropical regions, however, the building should be sited east-west so that too hot direct sunlight is avoided and cooler room temperatures maintained. In some rearing houses, roof and side walls are made of plastic sheets or tarpaulins, which prevent direct draught of cold air from outside entering the beds. This type of shed is usually used for shoot rearing or floor rearing. In many places, there are no separate rearing houses as such, but rearing is done in the dwelling houses themselves. In Jammu and Kashmir, where mostly floor rearing is practiced, rearing is done in the rearers' own houses. The area required for 1 acre of mulberry in case of a chalky rearing house is 150 square feet, and in case of late age worm rearing is 1000 square feet.